the opportunity to work in a few places briefly to learn some of the things. Christian Muex you know, the famous Muex family,
Petrus
and many others, allowed me to kind of semi-work in some of the cellars with the people and kind of observe how the racking went on.
Do you have similar styles in terms of the way you make wines?
Well, because I was so utterly astounded with the tradition, I came back saying, and I was saying this is what I want to do, and I was lucky Peter Newton, who owns Sterling, said, Rick, I'd love you to do whatever you want. I want you to be creative, and we've got all the money you need. Just bring back what ideas and what equipment you want and go for it. So I had, wow, this is great. And so, I brought back barrels, which were very rare in California at the time. I decided that we'd ferment Chardonnay in barrels, which practically no one did. Everybody thought it was crazy.
He makes a terrific Chardonnay. These are the best Chardonnays you can get in California, I'm convinced.
Yeah, I created that style literally then, and Dick Graff was a good friend. Dick Graff, the founder of Chalon, and he wanted to build an equipment company, a small winery equipment company, aside from the development of Chalon, which at that point was like 10 barrels of wine. So we went to Europe together and brought these barrels back, and brought back the notion of barrel fermentation of Chardonnay.
Where'd they come from, those barrels?
They were Sarug.
Limousin, or were they?
No, limited. I fortunately understood that Limousin barrels were used for cognac, not wine. Yeah. And so many people made that mistake in the beginning, which we were sorry for. But Tronchet, Allier, center of France would never, perhaps, but Burgundy barrels. So we fermented Chardonnay in barrels, and right away I realized that the French had something there, and I went along with the notion of fermenting in barrels, whole cluster pressing, Surly's aging, but no mallow. Now, mallow, of course, is a primary adjunct to the flavor of Burgundy, and they can do it because the grapes are so incredibly high in acid at the start of fermentation that if they didn't, the wine would not be balanced. And I knew that I was working here at Sterling in northern Napa, and that the heat was too much for Chardonnay to sustain mallow, which decreases the acidity. So I said, okay, I'm going to make Chardonnay the way they make it in Burgundy. Whole cluster pressing, fermentation in barrels, Surly's aging, but I'm going to inhibit mallow, which is very easy to do with very low sulfur dioxide. It's very sensitive. And so I created this style. It was kind of a very Burgundian style, but it had minerality. It didn't have that rich butteriness that mallow gives, but I didn't care. I really wanted the minerality.
That's what we love about the wine.
Yeah, and to this day, I still, 46 years later, 46 vintages later, I'm still adhering to it, and all of a sudden, you're seeing this trend to want to go there. Of course, as soon as we did, and a few others, Mondavi and a few others started fermenting Chardonnay barrels, everybody did. And they got very carried away. They used too many new barrels. They picked grapes way too ripe. Ultimately, some sugar was left in the wine, and the full mallow made these wines absolutely cloyingly, to me, almost undrinkable. I'm not very fond of that style. That's not to say that it's a bad style. Many people love it. But I hung in there and hung in there without it.
Rick's style is very much a Burgundian style white wine, and we have it in our cellar. We've kept it. We've had some of their wines in our cellar for 10 or 12 years. I know they're not supposed to last that long. But I'm telling you, they do.
I recently looked at the 88, and it's the same color as the wine we have on the counter there in 2010, and it's developed that amazing sort of creme brulee, hazelnut character, and it has that wonderful minerality through it. They do age, they really do.
I know. It's crazy. I know they do.
There's a few others around in the Napa Valley that do, but very few. Stony Hill being one of them. Stony Hill wines age.
And you build your wine, your red wine in the same way.
Well, and the red is, of course, my real passion. I do enjoy making Chardonnay, and I've adhered to this style, and it's sought after in minimal way, I should say, but definitely sought after all over the entire world. The Germans love it. The various.
The only place I've found it in a restaurant is in Hawaii.
That's crazy.
It's rare to find it in a restaurant.
It's too bad that it isn't in more places, but I don't have an awful lot. I only make 1,000 cases of it, so to sell 1,000 cases around the world is not very much.
No, it's not.
But the Cabernet and the related varieties, the Cabernet blend, which is always Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Petit Verdot, is my real passion. I mean, that's where I spend a great deal of time and have had enormous innovation both in the vineyard and in the winery, and have over the years developed and continued to experiment and refine this, I hope people think, very elegant rendition of a Cabernet style wine within the Napa Valley.
It is elegant, and we've had his wines for years in our cellar, and they age beautifully. It's difficult to get his wines, and this is a man who builds his wines and works in the vineyard himself, does it from start to finish. It's amazing, really.
Well, thank you. I do. I don't have a staff. I have no one in the cellar. I don't have a winemaker or an assistant or a cellar crew, just me. But my son works with me. He's very, very good at construction, as you've seen, and so he's building constantly.
Toby's amazing. He has his own label or his own
wine?
wine?
He makes wine here as well.
I want to taste Toby's wines while we're here.
It's quite good. And
does he build it like you do?
More or less, yeah. He has a little property up on top of Howell Mountain, so they're a different climate altogether and different soil type. So they are not like the Forman wines in that respect. But of course, they're made here, and I guide them through.
He's a talented young guy.
He is. Toby's amazing. Toby is phenomenal at what he can visualize and then actually fabricate. He gets it, has a sense of design, and then he can take that and build it out of wood, concrete, or metal.
I think it's great that you guys work together.
We have a lot of fun. He has been a fine steward of this property. He has brought it to a whole different level, really. He's created some patience for me, which I've never been noted for. It helps me in the vineyard, sort of be patient, waiting for ripeness and so forth, and maintaining high quality in the winery. And then I have two very, very great guys in the vineyard who, of course, do most of the manual labor, Mexican guys in the vineyard. So it's a small staff, and then I have Margaret who helps me on the sales. And so it's a tiny team of very dedicated people.
Yeah, Margaret does a super job.
She does.
And Toby's a real nice guy.